Then let's talk about Islamic finance. So much interest has been generated in Islamic finance on a global scale because of its phenomenal growth within a relatively short span of time, and more especially as an aftermath of the recent financial crisis. On the regional and sub-regional plane, several countries are struggling to become the hub of Islamic finance in Africa, or within the West African sub-region, or at least become pioneers in the field. Let's bring in our guest at this point to take a look at what level Islamic finance is in the country, as we've been joined here in Lagos by the head of legal and regulatory services at Lotus Capital. He is Mr. Masood Balogun. Good morning, and thank you for coming to the program. And from our Abuja studio, we've been joined by the head of Securities and Investment Services at the SEC is Mr. Abbas Abdulkadir. Good morning, Mr. Abbas, and thank you for joining us on the program as well. Okay, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Abdulkadir. I know that a lot of work has been done at this point in time by the SEC. The latest story we're getting is that the SEC is working in collaboration with the Debt Management Office to develop a framework for Islamic finance in terms of raising the sukuk, which is the bond for Islamic in the Islamic term. How would you describe this step in terms of what plans you have as the regulatory authority in the capital markets?
Thank you, Bolaji. If you look at it, it's a kind of value, the entire value chain. And for you to have a holistic approach, it has to be all encompassing, in the sense that when you have the Islamic banks and the takafus, they need to have an outlet where they can be able to invest, which is the Islamic capital market. So what we are doing at the SEC basically is to try to see how we can develop that segment. The segment that we're trying to develop is Islamic capital market segment, and that one is the segment that will really open up the entire Islamic finance in landscape in Nigeria. Because, as I said, it's going to address the entire concern about financing. What is Islamic finance? It is, an ethical financing model where it is like a social responsible investment. Those investors that are not willing to invest in the conventional instrument because of religious or ethical belief, they can be able to invest in this outlet. So what we are doing at the SEC, we have a robust, a blueprint which we have developed and we are now implementing. And basically what we are trying to say is that as part of our developmental role, is the Islamic capital market is a new area in Nigeria that we are trying to see that investors should be able to now invest, especially those that are not willing to invest in the conventional instrument. Okay. We have a roadmap, as you said, which is the 10-year master plan. And that 10-year master plan is actually geared towards making Nigeria to be the hub of Islamic finance in Africa, or Islamic capital market in Africa. Okay. So basically, that is what we are doing.
All right, Mr. Abdulkadir, thank you so much. We would definitely get back to discuss Islamic finance, hopefully very soon, as we understand that the framework is being developed already by the SEC and by the DMO. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Okay, let's get back. Still talking Islamic finance. Let's hear from Mr. Abbas Abdulkadir, head of securities, Mr. Masood Balogun, the head of legal and regulatory services from Lotus Capital. I'm sure you've heard what the SEC representative has said. How would you discuss the involvement of Nigerians in this kind of finance in terms of perception? How have we embraced it so far?
Okay, thank you, Bolaji, for having me. In terms of how the Islamic capital market has grown in Nigeria, I think it's on the upward trajectory. This is starting from when Jaiz Bank launched the first Islamic bank in Nigeria. We also have other players in the capital markets, asset management, insurance, industries participating in the Islamic finance space. So in terms of growth, I would say it has been on the upward trajectory more interest is gearing up in the system, and that is also testified by the statement from the SEC and the DMO, the joint statement from the SEC and the DMO, where they are keen to develop the Islamic capital market in Nigeria. That is because of the rave review and good feedback that it has been getting from across the Nigerian segment. And that's why I'll say that it's been on the upward trajectory in terms of how it has been embraced. Of course, there are still a lot of challenges in terms of enlightenment and deeper market participation. A lot of work still needs to be done. But coming from where, if we look back at where we are coming from and doing a sort of assessment, I would say it has been on the upward trajectory.
Okay, all right. Mr. Masood Balogu, Head of Legal and Regulatory Services, thank you so much for coming on the program. We will definitely get back to Islamic financing, as I mentioned to Mr. Abbas Abdulkadir earlier on, because this is a very big market that Nigeria has to really key into and take advantage of. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for